guys, I'm the teen here. 没有，没事。wait till like 650，这个是最便宜的，真的最便宜的红牌。这个二手可以20万。
这么便宜哪有？
Yeah， 新的话我卖30万。
新的30万。
Yeah， 它是最便宜的红牌，真的。别的红牌都是60万。Yeah。
今年的这
06。Yeah， 大概老的8年之前。
这个叫什么名字？
它是忍者。忍者。
哪一国的？
忍者126。它是 Kawasaki 的日本。好，拜拜。Hey guys, M13 here, and I am gay. But most of you guessed that by now. No, I'm just kidding. What are we doing here? Why is he standing there like that? I'm in the wrong gear. Just tried to do a wheelie and I'm like, I was in the wrong gear for the speed. Yeah, so I'm on the 9. I rarely do this road. Topic of the video is the pros and cons of not knowing Chinese, and this is more so aimed at foreigners who are in Asia, because I'm in Asia. This is Asia. Hey, look, we're in Asia, and I can speak Chinese, but I can't read or write it. And many people have asked me, well, why don't you learn how to? And I'm like, and there's a pros and cons to learning it, and I'm going to list a bit of both, or try to. This is a difficult road to ride. It's one of the most dangerous roads in all of Taiwan. There's actually a whole YouTube channel dedicated to people crashing on this road. There's guys that just hang out with video cameras at different corners and just film people who crash. People crash here daily. So in my opinion, it's probably, well, it's the road that you're most likely to crash on if you're riding a motorcycle. Let's put it that way. And I'm riding one. Look, hey, look, we're on a motorcycle. So, most people would assume that if you just, if you learned how to read and write it while living in the country, then it would just be all pros. But there are cons. For example, me not being able to read or write Chinese, I don't have to do paperwork. Like when I go to do my taxes, or when I'm filling out forms for shit, or just when I'm doing boring paperwork in a bank, when I'm applying for a bank account, anywhere where you would have to do paperwork, I don't have to do it because I can't write. It's like, I can't read or write. You have to help me. So that's what happens. So like when I'm doing my taxes and shit, it's awesome. I just walk into the tax office and I like give them my, I just give them my ID, passport, whatever little proof I have of how much money I make, which is like next to none. I pretty much just tell them. I make about this much a month. That's it. Oh, hey, a Predator helmet. So yeah, I just pretty much just tell them. Anyways, and then that's it. And then all the paperwork they have to fill out for me because I can't write. And then same thing, like if I'm going to a bank, I'm applying for a bank account, they hand me the forms and they're like, okay, fill out this, 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 and this. And I'm like, big smile on my face, I can't because I don't know how to write. And then they're like, huh. And then they have to fill it all out for me while I sit there and play Angry Birds on my phone. So there's benefits. Downside, probably the biggest downside is just menus at restaurants. It's hard knowing what to eat, and as a tour guide, that really hurts me. Like when I'm riding through a town, I don't even know what the fucking signs on the restaurants say. So it's like I'm leading a tour. I got a bunch of foreigners following me, and they're all hungry, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to eat, and I don't know what the places around us are serving. So yeah, I rely on pictures mostly. Most food places, if they serve chicken, they'll have a picture of a chicken, or if they serve whatever, they'll have a picture of whatever. I was hanging out that corner for a bit. I had a drink there. I was talking with some of the people. I entered it a bit too slow, though. I realized a little bit too late what corner that was. And I topped out my gear. Excuses. Look at all these bikes, man. Look at all you guys. Yeah, so menus. Warning signs. I can't read warning signs. Don't have a clue what they say. I actually have a video of mine where I'm I go into like a military area, you know, it's like a base, but it's kind of like next to the base, and there's like warning signs, and I ignore them, and there's warning signs in a field, which, you know, should give you a tip. It's a military warning sign. It's just a field. It should give you a tip. And then sure enough, I like look at the sign. I'm like, I don't know what this says. I'm gonna go in, and then I'm walking around the field, and sure enough, one of my breasts, and nice hair, and one of my subscribers. Oh, that was so nice. I did the entire thing. That's one of the corners that people crash at like all the freaking time. Like there's a whole channel, and it's pretty much like 80% crashes at that corner. And that's my first time ever taking that corner with a bit of speed. And I just got my knee around the entire thing. So I was like, you know, yeah, I'm happy. It makes me happy. You're not impressed, but I'm happy. It impresses me. That's the important thing. I still need to learn, speaking of which, I need to learn how to tie my shoes. Things I can't do. I can't read Chinese. I can't tie my shoes. And what I mean by that is, I don't know how to do the fox chases the rabbit around, goes in the hole. I don't know that way to do it. My son's learning how to tie his shoes. I bought him a pair of shoes with laces. Totally off topic, aren't we? Yeah, and my wife's like, teach him how to tie them. I'm like, I don't know how. I know how to tie them my way, but I don't know how his way, like the kid's way. Yeah. It's kind of on topic. It's like pride and ignorance. I don't know how to read or write. I don't know how to tie my shoelaces. I didn't know how to say all my months in order until just recently. Woohoo. So, yeah. What else? There's pros and cons to like not being able to speak Chinese. Like I know some foreigners that have been here for like 10 years and they don't know how to speak. Because they moved here, they live in an area where everyone speaks English, like Taipei, and then they get a girlfriend who speaks perfect English, so they spend all their time speaking English. Me, when I moved here, after I'd been here about 6 months, I got got into a serious relationship, and the girl didn't speak any Chinese. Sorry, she didn't speak any English. She didn't speak any Chinese. That'd be funny. Dating a Taiwan girl who can't speak Chinese. She'd have to be a full-on retard, which makes sense because she's dating me. It all makes sense now. That guy was like total Power Ranger. He was like full-on white helmet, white everything. It's a weird. Is that Space Pod? So, I know foreigners have been here, lived here for like 10 years, 20 years. They don't speak Chinese, or they speak like just minimalistic. And there's like, I remember when I first started learning Chinese, I would start to hear shit. Like I would hear people talking about me behind my back, and I'm fairly certain now, looking back, that half the time I was mishearing. And that's a problem when you first start learning a language. You start to hear shit that isn't there. Like because you only know a few words, so you start hearing those words everywhere, even when they're not being said, because you're listening like specifically for those words, because there's only a few words that you know. Let me turn on my Bluetooth. I'm expecting a phone call. Com activation, manual mode. Connect the phone. Okay, so. So, what was I gonna say? So you start hearing shit that isn't there. Like, I would hear people saying shit behind my back, and a few times I'd be like, what'd you just say? And they're like, and then they'd repeat it, and it was totally not what I'd heard. Yeah. So there's an initial there's a stage in the beginning where you're learning how to speak, and then you start hearing shit that isn't there all the time. Yeah, that's about it I was thinking of. The only real major pros to learning Chinese would be menus in restaurants. I can't think of, there's not, in just in general in life, you don't read much other than menus that I can think of. There's a couple of things that I'd like to apply for, like, I don't know, there's a couple of things I'd like to study here. There's a couple of jobs, like, it would be fun if I was a cop. Like, how fun would that be if M13 was a cop in Taiwan? But there's no chance of it happening, because even if I became a Taiwanese citizen, which I could do, I couldn't be a cop because I can't read or write. Like, there's got to be, like, written tests and shit, and I wouldn't be able to do them. And then there's paperwork and stuff, so. But one of the reasons, and another reason why, one of the main reasons I don't do it is it takes a huge amount of time. I've seen people who learn how to read and write, and they spend, like, hours a day. They spend hours a day just relearning shit they already know. You know what I mean? Like they spend, like, I see them sitting there, like, for an hour writing out words, and I'm like, oh, you're studying some new words? And they're like, no, I'm just rewriting the ones I already know so that I don't forget them. So I'm like, so in other words, you spend, and I'm like, how often do you do that? Well, at least an hour every day. And I'm like, okay, so you spend 30 hours a month, 12 times 3 is 360, is that right? Oh God, I hope that's right. 360 hours a year rewriting words that you already know just so you don't forget them. And as soon as he said that, I was like, fuck that, I don't ever want to learn. The locals don't have to do that because they use it so much on a daily basis. They're reading and writing letters to their friends, and they're writing Chinese online all the time, and they're using it, so they don't need to do that practice. But I don't converse with people in Chinese in print ever, so it's very unlikely. Speaking of which, my friend Donnie, who's a player, he's a swinger, he's a stud. He literally, he can actually read and write Chinese, basic shit, but I'm impressed by it. Like, he can read and write Chinese, basic Chinese, fairly well. And the only reason he can do that is from hitting on chicks online and Facebook and shit like that. And because in the beginning, he was just copy pasting and translating. So he'd have conversations with chicks using, like, Google's Translate. But he does it so often and with such frequency that he starts to, like, pick up, okay, I've seen this character so many times, I think it means this. Oh yeah, I'm right, when he hits translate. And he's like, oh, I see this one all the time, translate. And then he writes Chinese using, you can actually write Chinese using English letters. If you know how to say the word, you can just kind of use the phonetics and write it with ABCs, like Xiao is S-H-A-O, that's Ao, A-O is Ao in Chinese English pinyin. So you just write S-H-A-O, and then you have to choose the tone as well, which I would not be able to do. And then it would appear as Chinese to the person. So he can use ABC keyboard, an English keyboard, and write Chinese to someone. And then he's always seeing, like, he writes the word in English, but then he sees the character that appears on the screen when he hits enter, and then he can look at it and he can memorize it. And he converses with people so much that he can now. Yeah, you can look at signs and, like, read some of the characters and shit. And I'm always impressed by that. You can read menus and shit. Anyway, so yeah, that's some of the pros and cons. I didn't cover many, but that's, what else is new? Some of the pros and cons of reading and writing in Taiwan, or not being able to read and write in Taiwan.